Hello，你好，欢迎回来，Welcome back to Wisdom Wednesday with Johnny Tiger on August 18, 2021. Last night, before going to bed, I had a great idea. I had this great idea about what I was going to do for Wisdom Wednesday. It was such a good idea that it was like one of those light bulbs going on in the head, saying like, "Oh, this would be a great topic." And then I went to bed and I woke up this morning and I totally forgot about it and I can't still to this moment I still can't remember it. But uh, I do have a backup plan, which is good. Always good to have backup plans. We're going to talk about uh, medical practice and being doctors, uh, how different it is in when you go to a doctor in China, Taiwan, versus you're going to doctor here. This episode was inspired partially by my very, very good friend, one of my best friends, Wesley, who is finally, after a long time, getting into medical school this year. So we wish Wesley all the success and that he become a great doctor a few years later. When when my family first came to Canada, we had a hard time getting used to doctors here. For one, I don't know how it used to be, but nowadays you book a doctor's appointment and then you go there and then you have to, let's say your appointment is 4 o'clock. You show up at uh, 10 to 4 or 20 to 4. You show up a bit early and then you most likely are going to sit in the front room, at least here in Canada anyway. You sit in the front room until 4:30, and then finally a receptionist come out and get you and say, "Okay, come to room one." And then you go to room one. You have to wait in room one for another 20 minutes. So by the time your doctor come in, he is almost an hour late, and you have been waiting for almost an hour. And then he rushes through his routine with you, "What's wrong with you?" And he tap 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 type on the computer, and then give you a prescription, and then out you go. That has been my experience, my family's experience with doctors here in Canada. I don't know about the US, I don't know about the UK, but that is our experience. That has been our experience, and it's not just one doctor, but multiple doctors. They want to get as many people in one day and as many people out as quickly as they can, fill out as many prescriptions as possible because at the end of the day, it's a big business. It's all about how much money they can generate, how many patients they can put down on their quota when they submit their tax return or whatever they need to do for the government. That has not been how things are done in my culture. Uh, in China, in Taiwan, if the doctor make an appointment with you, it's 4 o'clock. You go in there 4 o'clock. You see the doctor at 4 o'clock. Now, of course, if you go after 10 after 4, if you are late, then sorry, you have to wait because they move on to someone else. But if they say 4 o'clock, they mean 4 o'clock. No waiting. You show up 10 to 4, then you wait 10 minutes. The doctor come out to you, smile at you, and very friendly take you in, and then the doctor is going to uh, ask you a little bit about your daily life, how you feeling today, and what's new with at home, how's school, how's work, stuff like that. The doctors will chit chat with you, not very long, but maybe 3 to 5 minutes, and then the doctor says, "Okay, so what are you here for? What are we doing? And then the doctor will give you enough time to describe your problem, and then he will sit down and explain to you what is going on and what are your choices. I can give you a prescription for this, I can give you a prescription for that, or as the most common solution, I can give you a shot right here that will solve the problem. Long story short, at the end of your visit to a doctor in Taiwan, in China, you leave the doctor's office feeling like, hey, that guy is my friend. That guy really looks out for my interest. And that guy really cares about what I'm here for. Doctors in Taiwan and China will often also come to you if you call them and say you really can't go to them, and would they mind dropping by before they go home. So what they'll do is they'll put you at the end of the queue, and they'll go through all their patients. At the end of the day, they will come to you and see what you need. That's another service that we don't often see here in Canada. By the way, if you ever need to get doctors or nurses or go to a hospital in China or Taiwan, I think we will go through the necessary vocabulary here. I usually don't teach a lot of Mandarin on Wisdom Wednesday. If you guys want very detailed, very in-depth Mandarin lessons, then by all means, please do check out the Johnny Tiger Experience podcast, where we have the Mandarin 101, where I dedicate that block of time teaching you vocabularies and phrases you will need to get on in the Chinese culture. But I think this is quite important. So, if you are in the Chinese community and you need a doctor, you will say doctor, you say 医生,医生, that's Yesheng, 医生. Is there a doctor? 有没有医生?有 means have, exist, is there. 有没有 means not existing. It's there, it's not there. So 有 means is there, 没有 means not there. So 有没有 is there or isn't there? 医生 doctor 有没有医生? Let's look at the word 医. 医 itself is doctor, to heal, to treat, to nurture. So if you need a hospital, if you get into a taxi as a Chinese driver and you don't you need to convey to him or her that you need to go to the hospital, you say 医院, 医 again yuan, yuan. That 院 means uh, building, uh, a large structure. 医院 means the place of healing, basically hospital. When you are in a hospital and let's say you're being ignored and you really need a glass of water or you need your bandage changed and you want to call a nurse, you will say 护士, 护士. That's WHOSHE, 护士means nurses. When you see a nurse and you want to greet them and say 护士你好, hey nurse, how are you? Or hello nurse. If you need an ambulance, you would say 救护车, 救 J J I J I U, 救 who WHO, 车 CHER, 车 救护车 means uh, the 车 means transportation vehicle. 救 means to save. Who as in 护士 nurse means to tend to. So 救护车 is the vehicle that save you and take care of you, aka ambulance. When someone need an ambulance, or when you need one, you say 救护车, or you say 叫救护车, add a 叫, Jow in the beginning, means call an ambulance, 叫救护车. So whenever there's a disaster, you'll hear people say 有没有医生? Is there a doctor? And 叫救护车, call an ambulance. While Chinese medicine, in many ways, is uh, quite questionable, and there's a reason for that. We'll get into that in a little bit. But in Chinese culture, generally speaking, I'm not going to say all the doctors are like this, but generally speaking, in Chinese culture, doctors will put their professionalism, their bedside manner first. Whether they are really good at what they do, secondary. Whether they know their penicillin from their Advil, that's secondary. Their bedside manner, their humanity, their ways of making a patient feel good come first before their actual skill. One of the ways where this really comes through, really shows, is how often you will get a shot or get hooked on IV when you go to a Chinese doctor in Taiwan or China. And for those of you who never been, you may actually find this really crazy. You'll walk into the hospital because you got a heat stroke, and they hook you an IV and give you a shot. And then you may have a cold, and you just want some pill for your headache, and they give you a shot. It's like every time you walk into the doctor's office or the hospital, they recommend giving you a shot or hook you on IV. Now, most of the time, these shots, these IV, are not your medicine because they know there's no treatment for some of this stuff. There's no treatment for cold or flu. You just have to let it run its course. But at the same time, Chinese doctor understand so much that they need to do something to make you feel that you're getting better. They need to do something to make you feel you're making a progress. So they understand the whole method behind a placebo effect. If you feel good, then you will get better. If you think you're feeling good, then you will feel good. They understand all that psychology stuff. So quite often, even when there's no cure for you, they are not going to just tell you to go home and sleep it off because honestly, when the doctor tell you to just go home and sleep it off, it just doesn't really do it for at least for me. It doesn't really comfort me. Like, am I just going to go home and no one's going to care? And I'm going to, how long am I supposed to sleep? What if it gets worse? How do I know when I'm going to die? You know, all those questions go into my head. Chinese doctor is not going to leave you in limbo like that. In Taiwan, in China, they're going to say, I'm going to give you a shot and you're going to feel better in 48 hours. Right? You're going to feel so much better. And then they're going to give you a shot that is nothing but vitamin, nothing but uh, 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 some kind of supplement. It's not going to harm you, but it definitely doesn't make things better. It just makes you think that you're getting something that's going to make you feel better. Same with the IV. There's no medicine in your IV. When they hook you up to your IV, all it is fluid and sugar because Chinese doctors understand that a lot of the issues people run into, you'll feel a lot better if you're hydrated. So they give you water. And having a bit of sugar in your system will also make you feel a little bit more perky, a little bit more cheerful. So they do this sugar water solution and hook you up with it and tell you that you're getting some ultra new experimental medicine that will make you better in 2 or 3 days. From a Western point of view, this is very unethical because it's almost like they're lying to you. But from a Chinese standpoint, a lot of people will swear by it. A lot of people will say, I went to the doctor, They hooked me up with this medicine, this IV, or they gave me a shot. I felt better right away because it is all in the mind. It's all psychological. And Chinese doctor understand like how important it is that patients who are happy get better faster. Patients who are scared and unhappy don't really get better at all. This attitude extends into ancient China when most of the really, really good doctors were judged by their bedside manner. For example, let's say a person is dying of some terminal illness, and you have one doctor come in, and this is a really, really good doctor. This doctor is going to take a look at this person and put a hand on his shoulder and said, "Oh, you're fine. You're fine. There's nothing wrong with you. You're okay. You're okay. No, you just need you've been too tired. All you need is treat yourself good, do all the things you like to do, and eat whatever food you enjoy eating, and relax, sleep, and enjoy yourself. Have fun. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. It's nothing serious." And they'll say things like that to make the patient feel, oh wow, okay, okay, I don't know, I guess I'm just being too tired. They'll put the patient's mind at ease, and then once the patient is not there with them, they'll tell the family, okay, look, there's nothing I can do for him. He is dying. He only has 3 months left. So try to keep him as happy as he can, and try to keep him as comfortable as he can. He'll tell this to the family, but to the patient, everything is fine. Everything's okay. Uh, Again, from a Western standpoint, that seems like the doctors are all lying bastards, but uh, you'll be surprised how many patients actually end up pulling through or getting a lot more longer time out of their terminal illness when they really believe that they are not going to die, when they really believe that they're fine. All it is that they're tired, and all they need to do is have more fun and devote more time to themselves. It actually works in many, many cases. That is the primary difference between Chinese doctor and Western doctor. Western doctor, in my experience, is business-like, very cold, very honest. You're going to die. You have 3 months left, right in your face, kind of thing. Uh, you're suffering from a flu. They don't care. You go home. It's just a flu, okay? And there's nothing I can do for you. Go home, sleep, drink a lot of water. If you are still sick in 2 weeks, come back to me. Chinese doctor is very friendly, kind of deceitful. Unfortunately, that's a negative way to put it, but they are friendly, and uh, they care more about how you feel and how you react to their demeanors, and how you can be psychologically, emotionally at peace, even though physically there might not be anything they can do for you. Now, speaking of Chinese doctors, there have been two greatest Chinese doctors that are worth mentioning. One, his name was Shen Nong. You don't need to memorize the name. I'm not going to quiz you. But Shen Nong was probably the great grandfather of all Chinese doctors. Shen Nong is often credited to be the one person who invented farming in China. And he was the one person who identified thousands of different kinds of vegetables, plants, and roots and herbs. So Chinese people knew what's edible, what's not edible, what can heal and cure what, and what would prevent what, and stuff like that. It's all credited to this man called Shen Nong. Shenong is almost a legendary status in Chinese history. Like he's up there as one of the founding elder gods in Chinese pantheon. Uh, who was the real Shenong is hard to say. All we know is this person did exist. He was a person who get up early every day, going to the mountain, and his goal was to put everything he could find in his mouth and catalog the result. this is bitter, this is sweet, this is really sour, and this made me throw up, this gave me diarrhea. Uh, in the end, unfortunately, he ate the wrong thing and died. But he was able to provide Chinese people with the first comprehensive catalog of edible, curable, uh, uh, medicinal, poisonous, uh, uh, herbal uh, catalog, herbal book. So you can say Shen Nong was the first ever Chinese herbalist. Shen Nong lived somewhere around 6,000 years ago, so 4,000 BC. And like I said, in the end, he ate, finally ran into the wrong thing and ate it, and he died, which was really sad. But in the end, being the first herbalist in Chinese history also means that he contributed to most of the what we know today about Chinese medicine. The second greatest doctor in Chinese history was Hua Tuo. Hua Tuo lived somewhere around uh, 50 AD, so year 50, around the time of the Romance of the Three Kingdoms, the War of the Three Kingdoms. Hua Tuo was the first ever Chinese doctor to try modern uh, procedures such as trepanning and opening up the skull to let pressure out and to uh, do transplant and bone marrow treatment. He was very, very ahead of his time. And Hua Tuo wrote the first ever medical journal in Chinese history. Uh, Sadly, oh, by the way, Hua Tuo also is the founder of Chinese people fitness routine. Hua Tuo was the first ever Chinese doctor to recommend, to suggest people to work out and stay fit. And he prescribed five basic sets of movement: running, jumping, squatting, crawling, and walking. These five basic sets of routine people could perform every day to make their health better. Sadly enough, Hua Tuo met a very bad end, just like Shen Nong. Hua Tuo uh, was summoned to the palace to treat the warlord Cao Cao. And Cao Cao was a lord of the Wei kingdom. Cao Cao has been suffering from a lot of headache and seizures, so he summoned the best doctor in the world, Hua Tuo, to the palace. And Hua Tuo told Cao Cao, I can treat your condition, but this will require me to open up your skull to let the pressure out. Cao Cao, being very old at that point and senile and very paranoid, immediately believed that Hua Tuo has been conspiring against him, and this was Hua Tuo's way to get him killed. So Cao Cao said to Hua Tuo, you think I'm stupid? You think I let you open up my skull and I won't die? Let me open up your skull, and if you live, then I will let you open up mine. So he ordered his men to open up Hua Tuo's skull. Unfortunately, his way of opening up the skull was probably not what Hua Tuo had in mind. So the best ever Chinese doctor did not survive the procedure. And as Hua Tuo died, his medical journal was seized by Cao Cao, and Cao Cao had it destroyed because Cao Cao still believed that Hua Tuo was trying to assassinate him. So he believed that nothing in that medical journal was trustworthy, so he might as well destroy it. So that set Chinese people's knowledge of medicine back for hundreds and hundreds of years. Uh, Unfortunately, this is why to this day, a lot of time when you uh, go and get Chinese medicine, you're not necessarily getting the right stuff because the record from Shen Nong is long lost. Don't know what happened to that one. And the medical journal by Hua Tuo was destroyed by the warlord Cao Cao. So a lot of the original record on what cures what has been lost to us. So after today's episode, if you ever go to China, Taiwan, and for tour and fun, and you find yourself in the hospital, don't be too surprised and outraged if they offer to give you an IV or a shot, uh, because that's just the way they do things there. It's not going to hurt you. It's perfectly fine to say no, but for the most part, what they give you will tend to make you better because they will try to give you some vitamins, supplements, or uh, at least keep you hydrated. Thank you for checking out today's Wisdom Wednesday. We'll be back again tomorrow for Toy Thursday. For now, 再见。